This is a matter of State versus Alexander Carson, cause number 23-1-01107-6. The defendant is in custody, unrestrained, with his counsel, Mr. Dana Ryan. Sonny Coe on behalf of the state. The parties are here for sentencing at this time.
My son spent 17 days on life support. He had a metal pressure in his head to check the pressure in his brain. On March 29th, which was that following Wednesday, my son stopped breathing 5 times, even on the ventilator, and they had to beg him. After 2 weeks on the ventilator, apparently your body starts shutting down, your organs start failing, and they wanted me to make a choice to take him off life support. And I said, well, is there anything else we can do? And they said, well, we could try to trach him and put a feeding tube in him. And so I figured at 22 that would be my son's wishes to stay alive. But I can't imagine when he woke up with the tube down his throat and he couldn't talk and he didn't know what was happening to him. He also got a brain infection, which brain infections are fatal for him. He managed to survive that. He got blood clots in his arm. My son is paralyzed. His arm no longer works. His hand no longer works. Down to his toes do not work. My son had to learn how to breathe on his own again after the trach. It took him a long time, and we had to learn breathing exercises. When your kids are born, you don't teach them how to breathe. That's something I didn't know. Like, you have to learn from therapists how to breathe again. And we had to sit there, and I had to teach my son how to breathe. I had to teach him how to eat. I had to teach him how to do anything. For the rest of my son's life, he'll never be able to be the son he was. He won't be able to take care of his son. He can't change diapers. He's not able to feed him. He can't feed himself. He can't shower himself. He can no longer do anything without a caregiver present for 24 hours a day. He won't run again after his son. He won't be able to do anything. I would ask for the maximum time, the maximum restitution, and for not to be concurrent, to be consecutive, because maybe my son is alive in body, but he's not the same son as before, and he never will be. And my son won't be able to take care of his son, and so he's not able to do any of the things that a normal guy would be able to do. So I would just consider that it's a lot of trauma that we have to deal with every day, and to relive it every day. Because when I close my eyes, I only can hear those gunshots outside of the house. And my son, when I walked up, I couldn't even tell you what I was doing because I was running around, losing my mind. I was throwing up outside. I just couldn't even comprehend what was happening at home. And so I would ask for the max sentence for every charge that you can give, because it's not fair for my son to be the way he is now, and for him to be able to live his normal life again outside of prison. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is the sad cycle of gang life, and no one wins. And sometimes children, they never become men. At the age of 14, I had attended 5 funerals of my friends. I stopped going to funerals. Only my grandmother's. I've never been to another since I was a child. I am thankful the victim recovered. My first thought when I heard about this was, my God, and I'm so thankful that he recovered. There are too many at Harborview, or too many that never left the critical care unit at Harborview Hospital, where many youth of Tacoma take their last breath after a gang altercation. With that said, I apologize to the victim's family, and I pray one day you'll find forgiveness for all who have hurt your families. I also pray the victim also turns his back to the streets. This road we are all on as loved ones of gang-affiliated young men and women is unpredictable and often heartbreaking. I do believe Alex can rehabilitate with the right influences. like I and his father, we left here. I haven't been back. If given the opportunity, I believe he can learn from his mistakes, and he can lean into the hope of becoming better and a wiser man, and leave these streets and childish ideals behind him. This is what comes with age and maturity, and I ask that you please take this into consideration when sentencing my young nephew today. And thank you.
Mr. Carson, you are seated here today because of your calculated choices. I respectfully disagree, Mr. Ryan, that this was a crime of opportunity. These were crimes of Mr. Carson's making and his choice. His choice once he saw Mr. Clark at the War Pony to direct other people in his car to put on their balaclavas as he put on his own, and direct the driver, Mr. Van Zandvolpe, to drive behind Mr. Clark, to follow Mr. Clark to his home. And as Mr. Clark got out of his vehicle, walking towards a home full of people, including a young child, it was Mr. Carson who chose to open fire directly at Mr. Clark using an automatic weapon, firing 19 times, and of course striking Mr. Clark in the head. Those were not the crimes of opportunity or a random stop and happening to see Mr. Clark. These were choices that were deliberate, and they're terrifying and dangerous to all in the community. But it doesn't stop there. At the time that the police tried to arrest you, you ran from the police in a stolen vehicle, endangering more lives, taking the police on a high-speed chase from Pierce County into King County, causing an accident of another innocent citizen, endangering who knows how many others along that freeway that day, endangering the lives of the law enforcement officers who had to work tirelessly to chase you down a very steep ravine. And then at the end of all of that, your indignance for the fact that you were being chased, amongst other comments that you made to law enforcement that day. These are the facts that bring you here today. And while I think it is remarkable, and I'm happy for you that you have such support in this room, because as Mr. Ryan says, you will need that support. You, on the other hand, have shown no remorse for your actions. None. I didn't see any during the course of this trial. In fact, I saw a rather careless laissez-faire attitude with laughter at times in a very serious proceeding. Your actions on that day and in the days following risked not just Mr. Clark's life, but countless others, and forever changed Mr. Clark's life and the life of his family and the life of his child. And with all of that said, the court finds that the only sentence that is just and that protects our community from future acts of violence demands the high end of the sentencing range, and that is the sentence this court is imposing. I'm imposing a sentence of the high end on all counts to run concurrent, followed by 36 months of community custody,